the Maga cult isn't beating the rap. They're not getting out of the allegations that we charge them with of being in a cult. And one of the chief reasons why, is that a lot of these people just freely admit that they are in a cult. Now, you wouldn't necessarily think that's a problem if it's just some random MAGA dipshit. But when it's a pastor like Shane Vaughn who admits that, yeah, we're in a cult, and what's he say at the end there? Yes, we do. We drank the Kool-Aid and it's orange. He says multiple times, we are in a cult. We are cult followers in this video, which seems blasphemous, does it not? If you're a religious person, if you consider yourself an adherent of the philosophies of Jesus Christ, or even someone who has any knowledge of the Ten Commandments and the stories in the Old Testament about graven images, and the very first commandment is, I am the Lord thy God, you shall have no other gods before me. Isn't that the number one? I mean, I didn't reference this before, but I think that's number one, you know? So when you're saying you're in a cult and you follow a cult leader who is a godlike figure, a deity type, a demigod, it seems blasphemous. It seems to be violating some of the edicts within the Old Testament that were handed to Moses by God, right? Mount Sinai, ringing a bell, Shane Vaughn. Anyway, here is a first video, and then I'm going to remind you, we're going to go back in time to June of 2023, not 2024, the year before, when I did a video where he admits to worshiping Donald Trump. But first, here he is admitting that MAGA is a cult.
We would never be this defensive of Donald Trump if you would not have forced us into this cult mentality. Yeah, we would now fight for Donald Trump. Why? We believe in justice. And when we see a man that God's put his hand on being attacked night and day, you are forcing us to look like a cult. We're patient and steadfast in our support of a single man. We are cult followers. Yes, we follow a man. Yes, we do. We drank the Kool-Aid and it's orange.
You heard it. You heard it there out of his glorious, righteous preacher mouth. This guy is really playing a character, which you're going to see in this next clip. But let's go through what he just said. We would never be this defensive of Donald Trump if you would not have forced us into a cult mentality. Talk about using an abuser's, look, it's your fault. You're the reason I hit you. This is the type of thing he's explaining. It's our fault he is in a cult. It's my fault that we forced him into a cult mentality. He had no choice in the matter, no agency, no free will, says Shane Vaughn. He's so weak-minded that I am responsible with my criticism of forcing him into the Donald Trump cult. You are forcing us to look like a cult. Well, now you're backing away from being in a cult. Now we're looking like a cult. And then only you skip a sentence and you go to the next, and he says, we are cult followers. Yes, we follow a man. Yes, we do. We drank the Kool-Aid and it's orange. Now, this is not new. Again, June 2023, there was a sermon he gave. Here are 3 excerpts from the sermon in about a 1:28 clip of him going off the rails. If you are like a Presbyterian or an Episcopalian or a Methodist or some other non-weirdo doctrine and flavor of Christianity, and you've wondered to yourself, Jesse always talks about growing up in this weird, radicalized type of Christianity. I wonder what that was like. I wonder what it was like on Sunday mornings for a young Jesse Dollemore in church. Worship service has ended and the preacher gets to preaching and you're there for far longer than you should. It's not a 45-minute church service. You get there at 9. Sometimes you don't leave till 2:30 in the afternoon. That's the kind of church I grew up in. This is the kind of pastor that I served under, that I worshiped under in different churches all across the country, that we like vagabond moved from state to state to state. This is the kind of church. And this is him at the end of this clip saying, call me a Trump worshiper all you want, but I know what came from my Trump worship, the blessings of the Lord. He's admitting he's a Trump worshiper more than a year removed from the time that he admits he's in a cult. Watch this and marvel at the energy and the passion of the Pentecostal preacher. Watch this.
Make America great again. I need a prophet that'll say what I say about America. God found a man. He sought for a man. That's why for 9 years they tried to destroy him with Russia. They tried to destroy him with every lie they could, and everything they throw comes right back at him. Because when God finds a man, God anoints a man. And when God anoints a man, he appoints a man. And when God appoints a man, he protects a man from the plans of the enemy. God spoke to me yesterday the minute I heard the news. He said, if you don't get your feet on the ground where he's going to walk, I'll take my blessings off of you. He said, I've called you to lift your voice and tell my people who my man is, to stand behind it, to fight for him. This is war. Call me a Trump worshiper all you want to, but I know what came from my Trump worship, the blessings of the Lord. When you put your hand to the anointing will put its hand to you.
When God finds a man, he anoints a man. You hear that at the end of every sentence? And when God anoints a man, he appoints a man. This is how I grew up in church. This was the norm. I mean, there were certainly pastors as I got a little older and started fading away my interest in my flavor of Christianity. Guys like Rod Parsons, who really put on the act. They really play a role. And if this is not playing a role, I don't know what is. Shane Vaughn is a grifter. So much a grifter that he's a convicted fraudster, stealing little old ladies' money in fraudulent insurance schemes and scams. He's a charlatan, he's a grifter, he's a liar, he's a self-described worshiper of Donald Trump and a self-described cult member in the cult of Donald Trump, where they drink the Kool-Aid that's orange, which is a reference to Jim Jones and the Jonestown massacre, where they drank Kool-Aid and died by suicide. Some not by suicide. Some were forced at gunpoint to drink the poison and die. The Kool-Aid. Gross, weird, sacrilegious, blasphemous, and just really an unhinged character among the Maga crowd. This is a man who you just witnessed has a congregation, has influence over people, is a shepherd of a flock, if you speak Christianese. Very disturbing. I would invite your opinion, though. Did you go to a church like this? Do you go to a church like this? 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. By the way, I do get voicemails telling me that people think I'm disrespectful. I see it in the comments too, that I'm disrespectful about Christianity or about your religion. I'm not. I don't care what faith you are. As long as you're not using your religion as a weapon, as long as you're not weaponizing your deeply held religious convictions against marginalized communities, as long as you're not trying to oppress black people because God doesn't like DEI or CRT or woke or whatever, as long as you're not trying to create a second class of American citizen or human being in this world, people who are gay or transgender, as long as you're not doing that with your faith, do what you're going to do. Awesome. If it makes you feel better, live it. Dream it. Be it. But don't hurt people with it. Ultimately, that's my religion. Anyway, got a little serious there for a second. I love and appreciate you. I would love for you to help me make these videos, produce this content. Click the join button below for $1.99. You can do just that. Become a channel member right here on YouTube, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I am on social media where you can tell me how wrong I am. I'm at Dollemore there. And I'll see you next time. Hopefully, it'll be a long time before I have to talk about Shane Vaughn again. Be genuine. Take care of one another.